Hello, hi Sarah, how are you?
Hi Rakshita, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good as well. I'm so happy to have you here today.
I'm so glad to be here too. I'm really excited.
Let's see, I think we have a lot of people joining us online as well. Let's see who all are here. All right. So, do we want to start and introduce the topic that we have for today?
Absolutely, let's do that.
All right. I think, like, as a person who is working on their spoken English, one of the most common things that you would hear is work on your vocabulary, work on your vocabulary. You need to build your vocabulary. Vocabulary is such an important thing, right? We're constantly hearing this left, right, and center. So, what are your thoughts upon this entire concept of working towards your vocabulary? And what do you think vocabulary means?
I honestly feel that vocabulary is a very important part of learning in any language at all. Keeping in mind that English can sometimes be uh, a difficult language which has many difficult words. So, sorry, it becomes important to know the word you're using, especially in the context of it. So,
Definitely. Definitely. I completely agree. And in terms of English language, because it has such a wide variety of words and certain words which have similar meanings, certain words, which sound similar and have absolutely different meanings, it gets even more important to be clear, especially when you're wanting to communicate better in English. I need to know what the other person's saying, right? At the onset, that would be the basic essence of my communication with anyone. So, yes.
right.
Um, let's just take a look at the definition vocabulary. So if I had to say define vocabulary, I
Mhm.
would call it all the words that a person knows about or uses. Every single word that you use, every single word that you know is all a part of your vocabulary.
Mhm.
So we will always use words like you can't build vocabulary, you can enhance your vocabulary. You can't learn vocabulary. Vocabulary is the set of words you know. So you can
Absolutely.
learn better words and improve upon your vocabulary. So that's
Correct.
another mistake that we do sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. There are a lot of words in the English language, but you don't have to know all of them. The ones which you can enhance them and you can use them daily. So I think that's your vocabulary.
Yes. A huge part of it would also be to have a good functional vocabulary.
Hmm.
Now, I can know a lot of words.
Right.
I might not be using them every single day. So
Correct.
have a more functional vocabulary. I think so today we're going to start by having a couple of tips, right?
Let's
So
do
we're
it.
going to start by sharing a couple of tips on how you can, in a sense, build your vocabulary. Before we do that, I think we have a couple of people who said hi to us.
Okay.
Let's welcome them all. So
Sure.
we have Himanshu Kumar. Hi, Himanshu.
Hi, Himanshu.
We have Santosh. Hi, Santosh. He's asking us how to increase vocabulary. We are going to get to that, please.
Right.
Um, we have Neil, we have Shruti, we have Pradeep. Hi, Pradeep. It's always good to have you. We have Chandan. And Shruti has very nicely defined vocabulary in the chat box as well. So that's great.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a very good definition, Shruti.
Yes. We have Arushi here as well. Hi, Arushi. And we have Soham. Hi, Soham. Very, very lovely to see you. Perfect. So, yeah, we want to request all of you all to like, share, and subscribe to Clapingo's YouTube channel. We are doing these lives every Thursday now. Sorry, every Friday now, so you can come and join us here. Lovely. So, Sarah, would you start us off with a couple of tips that I can keep in mind if I want to work towards my vocabulary?
Absolutely. I think personally speaking, one of the most important things I've realized is that there is no set limit about how many words you can learn in a day. But at the same time, you don't have to do like an extreme number, like 500 new words in a day. That isn't it's not possible like for a human being to do, right? I think even if in a day you take a small step and learn even like 5 words, but you learn them in a way that you understand them And if you are in a position that you have to use them, you can be prompt with it and you can be spontaneous with it. So I think the first one tip from my side would be take it step by step. There isn't like a timeline, like you have to learn the entire dictionary by the end of this month. Just 5 words a day, 6 words a day. As long as you understand how to use them in conversation, that becomes important. How about you, Rakshita?
I completely agree with your points. In fact, I have seen that if I try and learn too many new words in a day, I tend to, get really confused about their meanings. And I try to, I often end up getting mismatched. I often get those meanings jumbled inside my head. And that's not progress then, right? So that's a great tip. I think we can always keep that in mind. I think Chandan Shah has a question. He's asking how to understand and use compassionate. That's a great word. And okay, let us understand what it means. Okay, to have compassion means to understand someone else's feelings, or to try and be able to feel what they're trying to feel, and to sort of be able to understand their side of their side of the situation. So to have compassion would be, let's say, if I have compassion towards Sarah, I would understand that, let's say, Sarah does not have a good throat today, so I wouldn't ask her to shout, right? So that's me being compassionate. So, and another very formal usage is on compassionate grounds, which is what you would hear a lot if you're working. And it's probably where you could have heard this word. So on compassionate grounds, then again means I'm understanding your situation. I know what you're going through, and hence we're doing this. So let's say if Sarah had to go ahead and give some March past announcements today, we let her know that on compassionate grounds, you don't have to do that for today. Somebody else got you covered. So that would be your usage for compassion.
Right. And another word which is sort of synonymous with compassion is empathy. Right. Yeah. It's and again, when you're talking about empathy, the difference between sympathy and empathy, there's a lot of words which sort of sound alike, but actually mean such different things, right? Yeah. And there are so many words for the same feeling. Like for compassionate, there is empathy. So such a vast language, honestly.
Yes, you can definitely look at empathy as a synonym to compassion. Definitely. Then we have a channel called Random Fusion. They want to know the meaning of the. We don't know your name. Sorry. We want to know the meaning. They want to know the meaning of the word epoch.
Okay. Okay. So the word epoch or epoch, I think, it means a particular period of time in history. So again, words which can be used for epoch are era, or a period in history, as just to define it in the word itself. That is also fine. And so simply stating, it basically means if I'm talking about, okay, I don't want to talk about war right now, but millions of epochs ago or something like that, so it's normally means something in the past. And simply stated, period of time.
Wow. Yes. It's a new word for me as well. So the pronunciation is epoch, right?
Right. I think so. I mean, at least that's what I've learned.
No, I'm pretty sure you're right. All right. Lovely. We have a lot of interesting questions coming our way. So we'll take up a couple more of them. Right. So we have Asha Kumari. Sorry, she was the one, she wanted to know the meaning of the word epoch. I hope we could help you. We have Himanshu Kumar, who wants to know what is the difference between improve and improve on.
Okay. You want to take this, Rakshita?
Sure.
Since we'll pass in the person.
So basically, it's how you're using the word improve here. So to improve in anything means to get better at something, right? And one of the most common ways in which we use improve is improve upon or improve on something. So when I'm saying improve upon or improve on that particular thing, then I would be mentioning one specific thing that you have improved on. So let's say if I want to tell Himanshu wants to improve on his vocabulary. So now I'm mentioning what specific thing Himanshu wishes to work on.
Right. Okay.
I hope that helps you. All right. We also have Soham Dhar, who wants to know the meaning of the word eon.
All right. So eon is again quite synonymous with epoch, but eon basically means there isn't a definite time for this period. You know, so sometimes epoch could have a definite time, like 50 years or something like that. Eon, normally when you use it in the context of something, it doesn't really have a definite time. So it's an indefinite period. Eons and eons ago. You hear it a lot in literature, and when you want to emphasize, like, it was a very long time ago. Yes.
Yes.
I hope that helps.
Yeah, I think it comes a lot when you're trying to exaggerate something, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I told you to get me a glass of water eons ago. What are you doing?
I have been
now?
waiting for you for eons. Where have you been? It's yes.
Yes. Lovely. I think Asha Kumari has a couple of more very interesting comments.
All right.
So she wants to know what is the difference between a lot and lots of.
Okay. Go ahead, Rakshita.
So when I say you have a lot of something, that means I'm talking about, the quantity. Both of them, lot actually describes a huge quantity, right? So when I say a lot of, then I could be talking about I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot of assignments to complete today. Okay.
Right.
That means after of, I'll be talking about what is that particular thing that I have a lot of, right? That is that I have in huge quantity. And so basically, a lot and a lot of can be used together, but that's a lot to take. I can separately use a lot, right? That's a lot to take in. That means I'm just going to talk about the quantity. Okay, that's a lot for you to bear in this small amount of time. That means that's just a huge thing that you're taking in. Now, when I'm just using a lot, I'm not letting you know what exactly. It just implies that whatever situation you're in, let's say if you're not feeling good, or if you're going through a sad patch in your life and something even sadder happens, I could say that's a lot for one day. Right? So that just means in general, according to your life, in your context, that's a lot. And when I say a lot of or lot of, then I will describe what exactly is that thing that is a lot of that is there. All right. Okay. So
I think before we get to more questions, we'll just continue with the tips part, which we started and diverted from with the flow of the conversation. So let's get to that first, and then we can come back here.
Yes. So the next tip that you can have for your vocabulary is whenever you're learning new words, just how I learned the word epoch right now, I did not know the pronunciation. So if it's a new word, and you'll observe this often in English, a lot of words are not spoken how they are written. So if it's a new word that you're reading for the first time, or maybe you've heard it somewhere and you're trying to recollect it, what will happen is you might remember the incorrect pronunciation. So it will go a long way if then and there, right when you learn the word, or right when you look that word up, you also go ahead and understand how to pronounce that word. Right? Because when I'm learning something, if in that very moment I learn it correctly, then I won't have to unlearn it. And unlearning, you'll see, as a person who's working and towards building better communication skills and getting better at a language, is one of the most difficult things to do. Has it ever happened to you that you have this one mistake that you always make, and it's just so annoying because you keep making it all the time, because that's how difficult unlearning is, right? So at the onset, learn it correctly and make sure that you repeat it a lot of times. I'm going to use this word epoch a lot of times today so that I know how to use it the next time I have to use it.
Right. And I think, as you mentioned, right, it's fine if you take more time to learn only one word. You don't have to hurry about it again. As long as you learn the word absolutely in a way that you're comfortable with it. And if it comes up in any conversation, you know what it means, and you also know how to use it. So practice is like extremely important.
Definitely. Let's have one more tip before we move on to more questions. We are loving your questions. Please keep them coming.
Right. Okay. I think another tip from my side, right? And I think this is something which has been reiterated a lot in be it in Clapingo sessions or in normal conversations, is about reading. I did not really use an app while improving my vocabulary. I've always been an avid reader. So any new word I came across was through books. So I think if you want to, enhance your vocabulary or even increase it, it's important to sort of get familiar with authors or sources which are good, strong, reliable ones, um, which are I don't want to use this word, legit, authentic rather. So
Yes.
yes, that's genuine sources. I think that is one thing which really helps, because when you read these words, you read them in sentences, not individually. So you already have an example ready. You have to just go and Google the word and understand that, okay, this is why it fits over here properly. So yes, that is reading can really help, I feel.
Completely agree. And I love the aspect about the authenticity of books, because it's been edited by so many people. You'll very rarely find mistakes in these books. So yes, that's a great tip to give.
Mhm.
All right. I think we can come back to our chat box now.
Yeah, let's
Let's
do it.
see. We
There are a
have,
lot of people here.
yeah, and we're very happy. We're loving the chat box today. Right. So we have someone named Viresh Mishra. Hi, Viresh. We're very, very happy to meet you.
Hi,
Um,
Viresh.
we have a lot of interesting doubts. So that's great. We are getting to doubts now. Okay. So we have Dharmendra, who wants to know how to delete wrong pronunciation from your mind. How to, omit something that you've learned that was wrong.
Mhm. I think that's a very nice question, first of all. Like, it's a very well framed question, too. Like, how do you forget about the wrong pronunciation of something? It brings me back to what you told about unlearning. It's again a big process which takes a lot of time. You know, I think Google is always there. You have to just put the word there, hear it like 100 times a day. Of course, I'm exaggerating. Even 15 times works. But I also feel like the second and third time that you hear the correct way to pronounce it, you have to start pronouncing it along with Google. So, you
Definitely.
play Google and you pronounce it as well. So
Mhm.
you understand the difference. Okay, I was saying this all the while, but it's actually this. Okay. So that is, I think, something which can help to remove the wrong pronunciation of a particular word.
Definitely. And I think another thing that you can do along with Google, what Google has also put these days is not just the audio, you can also see the lips of that, robot person moving alongside the voice. And that
Okay.
is a huge part of how you say words. Your lips and how you shape your lips and how you put your tongue is a very, very huge part of pronunciation. So let's say if you're not sure if whether you're making the correct sound or not, pay close attention to how that person's forming their lips and try to mimic that. So in a sense, you would then start making a very, very similar sound to the pronunciation of the actual word.
That's pretty cool. I did not know that there was an update on Google. I'm really, really happy about it. I'm going to use it so much now.
Sometimes some of these small things really make your day. Somebody would have worked really hard on that for sure.
Absolutely. I think there's another question from Rizwam Alam. How can I improve my pronunciation? Rakshita?
Lovely. So as I spoke about the lip formation, there are also some common ways some words that are very commonly mispronounced. Let's say W. It's always said to make a circle with your lips, for every W, right? So there are these common things, and for V's, we should try and bite our lower lips slightly when we are pronouncing a V, right? So there are some of these common, postures and common ways to shape your lips that you can probably work towards. So that will improve your pronunciation in general for every word, right? Another thing that plays a very, very huge role when it comes to how you speak words is whether you are enunciating or not, which is how clearly am I talking, right? So one thing that I did, and it's a common way to work on your pronunciation and the clarity of your speech, is you can try and having some food in your mouth, especially something that's hard, and then
Wow.
try to speak with it. I used to love having ice cubes. If you like chewing on ice cubes, this is a good activity for you. Have comparatively smaller ice cubes in your mouth and try to speak them, right? So what it does, it forces you to be very, very clear with how you're shaping your mouth, how you're opening your mouth, so that you can make the proper sound for it. So then afterwards, when you don't have that barrier, it's like resistance training at a gym. That's a very out of the box example, but that's how it's going to be for your pronunciation.
I've never heard of that example ever. The whole ice cube thing, never come across. It's interesting, but I think I'll stay away because ice cubes really. But yeah, okay, it's very interesting though.
I think we have another doubt from Himanshu Kumar. He's asking, what is the meaning of the idiom writing on the wall? That's a very good question.
Right. Okay. So, Rakshita, do you want to take this?
Sure. So basically, writing on the wall is something, something bad that might happen, and you are just, something that you've predicted. So it is pretty clear that it's going to happen that way. There's a writing on the wall that I might not score very well in my examination this this year because maybe I'm not studied that much. So basically, it's something that you've predicted. You're pretty sure that something on those lines is going to happen.
Right. Okay. All right. Let's see. Should we take a few more questions before we continue with some tips? I think we have some more tips, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Himanshu Kumar, right?
Yeah.
The difference between alongside and along with. Again, that is again a very nice question because they sound so similar. Again, right? Like just like the whole accept, expect, accept thing. But the thing is, alongside is along the side, which is basically by the side of, and along with is in company. So, for example, if I say that I was sitting alongside Rakshita, that means I was sitting beside Rakshita, by her side. But if I say that I was along with Rakshita, it means I was with her at a particular moment in time.
So you
right? We could have been sitting beside each other, away from each other, but that's basically what it means, right? So that's another thing. I think that answers Himanshu's question.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Lovely. We also have Nadeem Bhatt, who wants to know how can they improve their English language in general. Well, that's what we're here for, Naveen. You can definitely talk to us a lot about it. But I think one of the most important things that you will probably, you can probably keep in mind while you're working towards your English is you'll have your own journey. So, I mean, sometimes it's good to compare yourselves to others and how they're learning, but sometimes it's just, work in your own unique ways. Like that ice cube thing, you might see one person do it and you're like, okay, maybe that'll help me, and just stick with it. Try new things. But one of the most, things that I've taken back home from my spoken English journey is I've tried to stick to some of the things, some of the tips that I've gotten, because sometimes there's so many things out there in this world that you tend to get lost. So you're like, 100,000 things that I can do. What should I pick up? Pick one thing up and try to do it for a week. And then if it works, keep it there. If it doesn't work, well and good, change, switch it up, try new things.
Right. And to add on to what Rakshita said, I think there's a saying which goes something like the one size doesn't fit all. Right?
Yes.
What works for you may not work for someone else. What works for someone else may not work for you. So you have to sort of find techniques which you are comfortable with. Like, you may not like to read, but audiobooks might be something that you like, which is absolutely fine. So take your time to, venture out and understand what do you like and ways you like to learn English in. And that's also something which really helps.
Definitely. Completely agree. I love your advice, Sarah. I think exploring new things and knowing that I might be unique. That's a good feeling to have.
Right.
All right. I think Himanshu has one more doubt. He wants to know what is the difference between less than and fewer than.
Okay. I think Himanshu is asking a lot of fun questions today. But okay. So fewer than is basically fewer is used to refer to the number that is being counted, and less is the quantity of things which are being measured, but not necessarily the exact amount of it. Like I think we're talking about epoch and era. right? So how era is indefinite and epoch can be definite. So fewer can be definite, but lesser may not be definite. So, like for example, if I say that I have fewer clothes in my hand right now than Rakshita, it could mean that Rakshita has 10 clothes. I have 9 clothes. So you can count the clothes that I have. But if I say something like, I have less space in my room than Rakshita,
Yeah. So you
I'm
can't
not going to
count.
sit and measure each of this thing, right? So it's a generalized way of saying that, okay, I have lesser in quantity. I don't know how much in quantity. I have less rice than Rakshita. I'm not going to, you know,
Count
start
every grain.
counting each rice. So yes.
Yes. We would recommend not counting.
It's right, absolutely. I think it'll be a very difficult task to do.
Yes. Um, we have Prem Chand who wants to know how to start vocabulary practice and improve myself. If you have any tips, please share. And that's a great place to return back to the tips that we were giving.
Yes.
So we're gonna. That's what we're here for today. Here to resolve any and every doubts and issues that you faced in terms of your vocabulary, right? So let's say I'm someone who's new to working on my English. I'm new to all of this and I wish to work on my vocabulary because sometimes I talk to people and I'm maybe not be able to express myself clearly, because that's another huge aspect of vocabulary. And B, I might not be able to 100% understand all the words that people around me are saying, right? In both of these cases, it always helps to try and keep track of the things that you don't know how to say, or you're not able to express, or not, let's say, able to understand. Let's say I never knew what to call. So you have a pan in your kitchen. I never knew that it's called a pan because I always call it, I always use the language that my mom uses. So there are some things in your house that you might not know what to call in English. You can start there. You can Google what they're called in English and then maybe frame sentences on that. So that will help you in learning how to talk about things that surround you. And most of the times, whatever surrounds you is what you're most interested in, right? So you'll then have a basic grasp of the kind of things that you would maybe want to use in a conversation. Secondly, what will happen is sometimes other people would be using words that I don't know what it means, and I can't ask that person because then I won't look that smart. So if that happens, try to look at the sentence as a whole. Let's say, I am extremely tired today. I feel so low. Now, if I don't know the meaning of the word extremely tired, I can still understand that she's trying to say that she's tired. Probably she might be very, very tired, right? So you can then try and understand some of these words by context. But what will always help you as a person who's just started this journey is try to keep track of things that you don't know. Write them down. Record a voice note for yourself. If you're somebody who likes handwritten things, I love handwritten things, so I keep a notebook. But some people don't like that these days, so you can make a spreadsheet if you're like a spreadsheet person. Like I have learners who've made like a whole spreadsheet. It has a Google link to the pronunciation, it has the meaning of the word, it has the word itself. So then what will happen is you can just go back and revise whatever new information that you've acquired.
Right. I think those are some really good ideas, Rakshita. I also feel like that it's also important to know that if you make a mistake in understanding the meaning of a word, or you use it in a place which isn't the appropriate one for it, that's okay, right? Because like you have to understand the curve of learning. You're still learning, so you should be a little light on yourself. Don't be too harsh on yourself. It's okay to make mistakes, and it's also okay to tell the person that right now I don't understand the meaning of this word, which is also, I think, okay at times, right? But take be a little easy on yourself, because it's not a really bad thing. It's something you're improving on, and the fact that you've taken the courage to improve on that also is a really good accomplishment. It's the first step.
Indeed. And yeah, we tend to be really harsh on yourself. Like one word, if you pronounce it incorrectly, you're like, oh my God, I don't know much, or I don't know what to do, right? So that can happen, but it always helps if you just let yourself know that everyone makes mistakes. All of us do. In fact, I for sure know one of the best, let's say best English playwrights and people who are very, very famous for the kind of English they spoke and wrote too made a lot of mistakes. So it's good to take comfort in that fact.
Right. Right.
All right.
Okay, we still have like lots of questions right now.
Yes.
So
So
what do we do?
let's address some of our questions.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do that.
Lovely. So I think we'll start with Dharmendra Swain's question,
Right.
which is there any big role of the usage of prepositions? And if yes, what is an easy method to work on them?
Okay. Um, so Dharmendra, prepositions are words which connect sentences or parts of sentences to each other. So they do have an importance in the way we speak, right? And many speakers sometimes, many learners sometimes have an issue with that because it gets difficult or confusing, like from, with, go, etc. So I think one thing, of course, is to just get that practice done. Get grammar textbooks or get sheets on Google. Just learn how to use the prepositions properly. And for that, of course, I think even YouTube really helps a long way with that, right? Like watching a few videos of the correct way to use these prepositions in sentences. And I think that's a really good place to start. But I think they are important because like there isn't a single aspect which is the most important in any language, right? So it's important to give equal weightage to every aspect of it: grammar, vocabulary, sentence structure. So prepositions are important, and I think that's one way we can work on them. Rakshita, any suggestions?
I completely agree with you. They are important. Every aspect of the English language would be important for you one way or another. And if you are really, so I personally find grammar and grammar terms to be very daunting. I'm like, okay, I don't like the grammar textbook way. So if you're somebody who is like me, then maybe try and build simpler sentences and then work towards more complex sentences. So what will happen is automatically by getting to learn how to structure sentences, things like prepositions and conjunctions would become conjunctions, another set of words that you use to join different sentences, right? So then you'll automatically start getting better at that. So if, let's say, going specific for one grammar topic isn't working, mix it up, do it in general, and then see if you need more tips with grammar, right? Also, before we move on, we want to request you to like this live, share it, and please subscribe to the Clapingo's channel, because that way you'll always know whenever we're going live or we're posting something. We, in fact, do post videos about these small grammar topics, and they're very good videos, and they're very, very well researched by our team. So if you want, you can go and take a look at those as well.
Okay.
Let's
see.
Yes. I think we have a couple of more doubts. Himanshu, we are loving your doubts, by the way. Very informative, helping all of us learn.
Absolutely. So, which doubt are we looking at right now?
I'm looking at the one, sorry. I'm looking at the one which is, please let me know the meaning of the word invoke.
Okay.
Yeah, and try to, he wants to know the usage of the word as well with examples.
All right. Okay. So invoke simply means to call on, right? But it sort of also has like a whole religious aspect of calling on like a god, right? Or a spirit. But in more simple ways of like talking to a person, it basically means appealing to someone or calling someone, even if it could be an authority figure, right? So like an example, normally it's a very royalty sort of a word, it gives you that connotation, but it is used in general sentences as well,
like you can I wanted to invoke the voice within because I wanted a couple of answers. So that is, it's slightly a spiritual sentence. I wanted to talk to my inner self, right? Or yeah, go ahead, sir.
Or like the king invoked his ministers or something like that.
Yeah, he called on his minister.
Yeah, it's a very it's given this emphasis of, okay, like royalty, or a word which is used in very formal settings, but it can also be used informally as well. So yeah.
Lovely. Another example, if you want one, is the police can invoke the law to regulate access to these particular places. So let's say invoking the law per se here would be to, to use law in their favor or in that particular, situation to do that particular thing, right?
Right,
So you can
decide
use
basically.
invoke, yeah, decide something from that. Yes, perfect. Lovely.
Okay,
So I think let's take a couple of more doubts, and then I think we'll give a couple of closing suggestions, and then we'll close with it.
sure.
So
Um,
Chandan Shah wants to know the meaning and the usage of the word compliance.
okay. You want to take this ahead, Rakshita, since yes.
Yes, yes. So basically, to comply to something is to sort of accept and to basically agree to whatever terms and conditions somebody has proposed. Okay. So to have compliance is basically you will be somebody who will be agreeing to that particular thing and who will be sort of readily wanting to do that, right? So I have a compliance with, let's say, my landlord, and he doesn't mind me having a couple of parties every now and then. God, we wish we had that landlord, but you know so you basically have a request per se, and that's someone who sort of agrees to that and is helping you and allowing you to do that. Okay. Well, I
Right.
hope that helps you.
Okay. I think the next question we have is Dharmendra Swain again. What is the meaning of the word revert and how to use it in a sentence? Right. So revert basically means to reply or to respond. So like I'm the CR of my class, and whenever I send a message to a teacher, nobody responds to me. So I have to set forth a formality like, please, this is from the teacher. Please revert back. Right? So please reply back. Please respond. It's an urgent issue. Or even in general instances, like if you're emailing your boss or your colleague, you can just tell them to please revert. So please reply. So that's another meaning of it.
Oh, lovely. I think that's a great word. I think we can all use it these days because not a lot of people revert back to me in the first. So I can request them, please revert back on this in this particular email. Lovely. So I think we'll give you a couple of tips before we close, and then we'll see you next Friday. Okay. Lovely.
Right.
All right. So we talked about how you can face new words, you can come across new words in any and all sorts of settings, right? So it can be, we spoke about how it could be embarrassing, how sometimes you might not know, you can always ask the other person. It also helps to understand any word by context. Another thing that you can do is try and break the word, right? You might know the root word for something, right? Let's say in accordance to that. I mean, I don't know the meaning of the word accordance, but I know according. I've heard according. That means that it's according to something. So I think in accordance to that would be something very similar to that. So if you know a word that has the similar root word, right? So then you can definitely go with accordance that or according to that, right? So that'll always help you be slightly more confident about one word. I definitely don't suggest this as a primary form of learning in your word. No. But if you're already in conversation with someone and you're in a position to not, let's say, go and look up a couple of words or open a dictionary per se, then you can definitely work with this method. This will help you, this will prevent you from being like constantly flabbergasted and not knowing what to say or how to revert to that person, right? So we can always
I see what you did there.
keep that in mind. Perfect. Sarah, do you have any closing tips or anything that we want to share with them?
I think we covered up a lot of things today. I also want to sort of remind you all that there are words which exist, like horrific and horrible, and accept, expect. There are lots of words like that. So please keep an eye out, right? Because I think we also got questions like, what is it? It's and it's. So
Yeah.
there's it is and it's. So there are a variety of words which are very confusing sometimes. So
Definitely.
try to use them with examples as well, because learning the meaning is one thing, but if you want to use it in practicality, that could be an issue. So yeah.
Definitely. And to add on to that, a reliable source to learn your language from or to learn your meanings from is a great thing to have. So let's say I will personally recommend referring to the Cambridge Dictionary, because that dictionary really simplifies the meanings for you. Let's say there are a lot of good dictionaries in the world, but Cambridge would really give you meanings that you can understand in one go without having a lot of difficult words in the meaning of the word, right? So, and that's a reliable source. You might not get incorrect information. Let's say horrific and horrible or terrible. Those words sound so similar, but they're opposite, right, in meaning. So, having knowledge and being able to sort of look it up from a reliable source will always help. Also, we have a lot of online sources these days that'll give you recommendations like learn 200 words in 5 minutes, 10 minutes with this particular video or this quiz. Even it's a great place to practice your words, not a great place to learn a new word. Because when you're learning a new word, there's a lot more that you need to understand and grasp about that word than what you could maybe do in, let's say, 10 minutes. So spend some time with your words is another huge suggestion that I have. You're acquiring new words, big words, spend some time with it.
Make them your friends, basically, is what we're trying to say.
Yes. And in the lockdown, as it is, we've not been able to make a lot of new friends. So words can be great friends. Spend time with them, get to know about them.
Right. I think that's a very interesting thing to say.
Lovely. So I think with that and with all that knowledge and information, we will leave you today. We'll answer, I think, one more doubt before we go, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take it. What doubt do we take?
So we had
so many to pick from.
We had one question. This is something, the one question that stuck around. It was how to speak English alone, or how can I practice alone?
Okay. Yeah, I think that is something which we feel shy doing. But here's the thing: there's anywhere no one around you. So why should you feel shy? There's nobody to judge you, right? And the reason we always remind our learners to try out this activity of speaking to yourself alone, recording yourself by speaking, is more about getting comfortable with the language, right? It's a new thing for you. It's a new boundary you're expanding. You want to try and become comfortable in it yourself first before you exchange the language with others. So of course, we encourage you all to, talk to others as much as you can at home. But sometimes that isn't possible because you're speaking like the mother tongue, etc. Right? So speaking to yourself is something which really helps. And talking to the mirror is something which is a little embarrassing at times because it does get embarrassing. You're looking at yourself in the mirror for such a long time. But it's something that really helps a long way. So I would suggest that if you're doing it even for like 3 minutes in a day, that's also a good start.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to do it in front of the mirror for sure. You can do it like somewhere else, just talk to yourself. That's fine too, So that's one thing. Rakshita?
Definitely. And if you're alone, you can even do silly things like, let's say, singing along to an English song. That really helps. I love music. I'm a very bad singer, so I can't sing for no one, but for my own pleasure, I love to sing aloud. So that's something you can do. You can always repeat dialogues or famous phrases that you would have heard somewhere on a movie, or within the same effect of the dialogue. Let's say if someone's shouting, I can shout if I'm alone. Let's say if you're alone in your room, I don't recommend that. But you can in general, because you have yourself to practice with. So there's no one to judge you. As Sarah pointed out, that's the brilliance of being alone on this journey if you're alone. So use that to your benefit, right? Because we're constantly in the fear of what if someone doesn't like it? Well, nobody's there to like or dislike it. It's just you. Absolutely. So have fun with yourself, and then try and thereafter put yourself in positions where you might have to communicate in English in the future. So take up an opportunity at your job. If let's say one person has to deliver the speech, raise your hand and be that one person who's going to deliver that speech. right? Because you'll have to put yourself in those situations also. Sometimes it's that. Maybe we are escaping the positions which could help us improve.
Right.
So you can try that too.
Right.
All right. Lovely. So we like to end here. We want you guys to like, share, and subscribe to Clapingo.
So that
And
you can stay in touch with us and you can know when we are coming up with lives like these again. We do it a lot, actually. We do post. So please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.
definitely. And we would love to help you all in your spoken English and your English learning journey. So stay connected. And until